This is the new Sony 16-35mm f4, which would be very easy to gloss over as a fairly uninteresting addition to their lens lineup at first glance, but actually is a pretty important move from Sony, and it could be a very practical lens for us video users. On the surface, it's a full-frame 16-35mm wide-angle zoom lens with a very small lightweight design. This thing only weighs 353 grams, which is pretty remarkable for a full-frame zoom lens. It also seems to be reasonably impressive in terms of image quality. Its edge sharpness seems much improved over their previous 16-35mm f4 lens, and it can close focus to 24 centimeters, which is not a macro lens by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not bad for a wide-angle zoom at all. But it's the video features that really makes this lens interesting. It has 3 rings, so we now get an aperture ring, which has a switch to go between a third of a stop clicks and smooth unclicked options, which will be great if you need to do smooth iris pulls during a video recording. And this will also pair perfectly with the Sony cameras that have a variable ND option built in, like the FX6 or FX9, as you're going to be able to use that to keep your exposure consistent as you change the lens's aperture smoothly, just like you can on a cinema lens. The biggest feature that makes this more of a hybrid or video lens though, is the power zoom functionality. And this is a really big deal for Sony's lens lineup. Their cameras have always been great at giving us zoom control. The FX9 and FX6 have a zoom rocker right there on the hand grip. The FX3 has a zoom rocker pride of place right underneath the shutter button on the front. And even their mirrorless cameras like the A7S Mark III and A7 Mark IV let you map zoom control to assignable buttons like up and down on the control wheel, for example. Plus you can control your zoom from the phone or tablet apps, a LANC port if your camera has it, or even from a gimbal when you connect it over USB. So there's lots of ways to control your zoom built right into a Sony camera. But with a regular lens, those controls aren't really that much use. Sure, you can use them for Sony's clear image zoom technology, and that's what most people do, but it's no replacement for a lens with full power zoom functionality. And for a lens with full power zoom functionality, before this lens, Sony gave you 5 options, but 3 of those were super 35mm, when pretty much every camera in Sony's lineup now is full frame. So really, you only had 2 options, the 28-135 f4, which is a fantastic all-purpose zoom lens, but it's quite large, especially for the smaller cameras like the FX3. It's also not particularly wide at 28mm. Then there's the 16-35mm t3.1, which is an amazing lens, but it's very much in a different price range. So if you've been looking for a power zoom lens for the FX3, FX6 or FX9, you haven't really had much to choose from. This new 16-35mm f4 is small and lightweight, so it'll be easy to put on a gimbal. It gives you manual aperture control with a dedicated iris ring, improved image quality over their previous option, the 16-35mm f4, and it gives full power zoom functionality with very fast and responsive control, as well as those smooth, slow moves when they're needed. I think this lens has a lot going for it. And if you want to order one for yourself, of course, just head over to prov.co.uk and let us know what you think of it down in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.